here, but this originally would have been like offices and library and things like that. We call this the East Wing. The West Wing is kind of cool. It's got documents and things for you to see. It has a declaration that was read out loud on July 4th. And then Congress Hall on the far side. But how this will work, of course, we'll head out. Our first stop will be a courtroom. We'll talk a little bit about the revolution there, some vandalism that happened against the king. And then we'll head over to the main room. And the main room, of course, is where, you know, a lot of the action took place. When we think of the origin story of the United States, it really all begins right here, and really right in that room. Some in Congress Hall, too. And a lot of it today is actually a big day. You may say, oh, I wish I was here on the 4th of July. Actually, the 2nd of July was a big day. John Adams always thought that that would be the day Americans would remember. Because, now, why did they do that? Well, they had a vote. Are you in or are you out? And they voted for independence on July 2nd. So then you may wonder, well, why are we celebrating July 2nd? What they do then is spend the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th going over the words of the Declaration. And then they make about 80 changes to that. And then they agree to it on July 4th. They print it. It goes out into newspapers and things. But then nobody will sign it until about a month later, August 2nd. Now that picture there may surprise you. That is not, that's not 238 years, or actually 239 years ago. That is, anybody have a guess? Any of our school-age kids have a guess? What's going on in there? We got the signing of the Gettysburg Address, the Magna Carta, Treaty of Versailles. That's what? The Constitution. So that's 1787. And that is still, of course, framework of government today in the United States. What will happen is they'll literally come back to Philadelphia from May to September of 1787, argue and debate and really hammer out that Constitution. And then that framework we still use today in the United States. You see the big man in the middle there, George Washington. Keep in mind that he is not here 238 years ago, or 239 years ago. He is not here. He is up around New York City fighting, or getting ready to fight the British. He's got his hands full up there. So Washington, you know, never signs the Declaration of Independence. Benjamin Franklin is here, of course. He's in that picture. Let's see, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison. But when Washington is here, he's going to sit in a very special chair. He's going to sit in a very special chair with a sun carved on the back of it. Looks a little bit like this. It's got 13 rays of light for the 13 rebellious colonies, of course. And we're told that Ben Franklin used to look at that chair and that sun and wonder, you know, is that a rising sun or a setting sun? And even a great mind like Franklin could not decide until the very end. So we'll talk about the symbolism there when we head over there in a few minutes. But look for that chair and that sun. That'll be our second stop. Also, when we think of Franklin and symbols, this is a pretty cool one. Some of you may have seen that. Join or die. And what he's doing, now he'll come up with this before the Revolution, but then they're going to use this during the American Revolution. And basically what he's saying is each piece of the snake here is a different state or colony. And he's saying we got to come together. If we come together, we can be very strong. Like a rattlesnake, he even pointed out this was a tough rattlesnake. But if we don't, you know, you cut a snake into pieces, it's going to die. And when you're in a revolution, you know, it can be life and death. You know, these men sacrificed quite a lot during that American Revolution. You just have to go over to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier to see that. And notice what it says there, join or die. It doesn't say join or go home, join or nothing will happen. You know, when you're in a revolution, it can be life and death. And of course, we're going to remember and celebrate that all this, all this week. And of course, when they declare independence, the revolution was far from over. The quote that we'll probably use a lot, or a couple times, or parts of it a couple times on our tour. These are the times that try men and souls. Remember what Thomas Paine said. So it was a tough time. And remember, they were the rebels. You know, we don't think of the United States like this, but they were the rebels going against the status quo, the empire. Anybody of our kids know who was the empire? Was that France, Yugoslavia, Brazil? What do you think? Brazil, kids? Darth Vader, who was the head of the empire? Well, not the head, we'll get to that. The king later, but what was that? Of course, everybody, most of us probably know. England, of course. Now we're best of friends, but back then, you know, not so much. And remember where they sent Ben Franklin? He spent almost 10 years in Paris, and that was very important too. The French helped quite a lot. They sent money, arms. If you're here earlier in the week, we had a ship, or a recreation of a ship that brought General Lafayette here. All right, guys, we got to head out in just a minute. Tell the British how to see the door. Hi, guys. I can come up a little bit. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Welcome to Independence Hall. You know, we're very lucky you walked through the same door there that Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine and John Adams walked through to create the United States. High ceilings, carved wood. They wanted this to look a little bit like a Greek or a Roman temple. This first stop is a courtroom. It looks a lot like a courtroom does today. Then we have a government room, governor's office. All the way up in the tower would have been the Liberty Bell. Today that bell is across the street. This courtroom, as I said, looks a lot like a courtroom does today. Judge, lawyer, witness stand, jury. Notice it's open, it's not done in the dungeons. But if you were on trial, they didn't want you to stand in the docket. So you're going to look pretty guilty standing in there. And that's the way they did it. And they still do it that way even today in lots of countries. Even today, England still uses a form of the prisoner's trial. Now, the big event that took place here was not a trial. It was an act of vandalism that happened against the king. This is the king's coat of arms. You got a lion. How about this? A matching horse. Yeah, unicorn. This is a big old countries are about to invade and kind of try to squash this rebellion with a lot of tough Hessian troops. So the war is far from over. And there's going to be lots of twists and turns in this revolution. They're lucky they have a bigger-than-life leader like George Washington to kind of lead the way. Even though he's going to lose more battles than he's going to win. He's going to win some key battles, some not far from here. Trenton, Princeton, Valley Forge, he's not going to fire a shot, but he's going to keep his army together. He's going to get training from a German baron. And the reason he's out in the snow is because the British have captured Philadelphia. So lots of twists and turns in this revolution. But Washington will return to write the Constitution. And that is still our foundation of government today. So look for that chair that Washington used. So folks, why don't we head over there? He's going to look at that chair and that sun all the way up front. And he's going to wonder, you know, is that a rising sun or a setting sun? And even a great mind like Franklin cannot decide until the very end, when he finally decides, of course, that that is, what do you think, folks, a rising sun or a setting sun? Of course, a rising sun. And forevermore, we've called that the rising sun chair. And it becomes a very important symbol of all the new beginnings that happen nowhere else but right here in this room. Now, did they solve all their problems in this room? Of course not. It would literally take centuries. It would be that long walk to freedom. You know, if you think of it, Abraham Lincoln's body will lie in state in this room after he's killed trying to live up to that idea of all men are created equal. Women finally get the right to vote in 1920. That's not too long ago. And we're remembering 50 years ago for the Civil Rights Movement. So it will be that long walk to freedom. But this is where those very important first footsteps will take place. Now, they start meeting here in May of '75, but of course today is a big day, and of course July 4th, and then August 2nd will be three real keystone dates during the Revolution. And then the Constitution, you guys get a little confusing, is like 11 years after that. Folks, let me just kind of slide through here if I can. Oh, shoot. Secret door, guys. Back up. So each table, John Adams, Sam Adams over there, clerk, president. So if you're looking for John Hancock, he's going to be up front as president. Different chair, though. And Washington will be there 11 years later. Pennsylvania will be right here. We like to think Ben Franklin sat here. He was here for the Revolution, then spent almost 10 years in Paris, they were the French on board. Then will return for the Constitution. By his side is a copy of Tom Paine's Common Sense. This is a small pamphlet that went, as we would say today, went viral. Everybody read it. This was kind of social media of its day. This changed a lot of people's minds. Kind of spread like lightning, fire across the colony. Kind of a how-to guide to have a revolution. It was smart, easy to read, very clever. Paine actually came over from England. Never written before, but in America, he kind of got reborn, became one of the best revolutionary writers ever. He had a sequel called The American Crisis. That was a 13-part series. That's where we get that great line I quoted. These are the times and tried men sold. He warned us against the summer soldier and the sunshine patriot. If you were going to win that revolution, you had to be a winter soldier. You had to be a pretty tough character. There's going to be lots of twists and turns in that revolution. And then August 2nd will be that big day of reckoning when they'll officially sign their names, that declaration. One by one, they'll go up and sign their name, no turning back. They used to have a line, we must all now hang together. So we will certainly hang separately. And again, they didn't know how this was going to turn out. They were going to hope, of course, that that sun would continue to shine on their cause. Remember what Franklin told us. Always so well, always so clever. Join or die is going to have to become united we stand. 13 will have to become one if we're going to succeed. And of course, they were lucky. There was a great thing where they had all these great bigger-than-life characters. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, 27 times. And that was written here, May to September, and then you had Washington here. This very chair, that sun, that new beginning. That's why that sun is such a good symbol for this room. It really symbolizes that new beginning. Now again, they don't solve every problem here, but that foundation is born here. And then through the years, it will increase that long walk for freedom, where they'll finally live up to those ideas of all men and created equal and we the people. But it would all happen here. And again, what we engage in this room is today. You can imagine this room, people arguing, debating in here, windows closed, doors closed, probably smoky room, a lot of pipes and chewing tobacco, and again, right here on this room was a big day, July 2nd. And that was the day John Adams always thought Americans would remember. But of course we remember the 4th because that's when they finalized